Of the Animal Services Board to order, and if you all would rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. Becky, I'm hoping you can help us determine that we have a quorum.
Yes, Madam Chair. Board Member Ward?
Present.
Board Member Enriquez is absent. Board Member Macias is absent. Board Member Flores is absent. Board Member Ellens. I really need you on the microphone for that, please, sir.
Here.
Thank you very much. Board Member Gandara?
Here.
Board Member Sanchez?
Present.
Chair Corin?
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Becky. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for today.
This is Sanchez, so moved.
Second, Gandara.
It's been moved by Commissioner Sanchez and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. Any edits or comments on the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Becky, if we could approve the agenda.
Board Member Ellens?
Yes.
Thank you. Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Chair Corin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look over them. I'll give you a minute or two.
I'll move approval.
It's been moved by Board Member Sanchez.
Second, Gandara.
Are there any amendments or things to note in the minutes that you all saw?
None for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Hearing none. Becky, if we could go through the roll call, please.
Board Member Ellens?
Yes.
Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Chair Corin?
Yes. Thank you for getting through those quick, because I think we have on the phone Sarah Kurtz from Doña County Humane Society, I think.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, hello.
Yes.
On the phone.
Thanks for joining us this morning, Sarah. And
Thank you. I
Thank you,
apologize that
Clint.
I couldn't be present as planned.
I hope you're doing all right. Thanks for being here via the phone.
Of course, I'm definitely feeling better, hanging in there.
Great. Go ahead when you're ready. I think Clint's helping you with the slides, so please go
Yes.
ahead. We can see them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you again for having me today, and again, I apologize that I couldn't be present. I had my animal ugly sweater and everything, but that's okay. Okay. So the history of the Doña County Humane Society, we were established in 1955 as the county's, as the shelter, which was then taken over in 2008 to run by the county and the city. We continued on as a 501c3 organization and currently run 3 community programs, which help to run hand in hand with the Animal Services Center of Mesilla Valley as well. Our largest program is the Animal Relief Fund. This is a voucher-based program that issues veterinary K vouchers for financially under-resourced residents of Doña Ana County whose pets need care. They have to qualify with us through an application. We use the HUD income guidelines. And to qualify, they complete our application. They have to submit proof of income, and there is a $50 copay as well as a photo of their pets. In order to help as many people as possible, clients can only qualify with 1 pet a year based on the last date of service. We issue 3 different vouchers under the Animal Relief Fund. The most common one being the veterinary care voucher, which is good up to $250 towards veterinary treatment costs. They can also receive a vaccination voucher. That is good for $50 towards the vaccination costs. And then depending on the issue that they're having with their pets, they can also qualify for a long-term medication voucher that is good for up to $750 in medication costs over a 6-month period. We see this commonly with dogs that have diabetes or arthritis, thyroid issues, allergies, those types of of issues qualify for the long-term medication voucher. Currently, all the veterinarians in Doña Ana County partner with the Humane Society for the ARF program. It's one of the biggest things that we do. All right. Animal Relief Fund 2021-2020. So in our last fiscal year, 2021-2022, we issued 569 vouchers, totaling almost $90,000 in veterinary assistance. It has continued to grow so far in our fiscal year for 2022-2023. We have already issued 455 vouchers, totaling a little over $61,000 in ARF assistance as of December 1st. So we will definitely surpass this fiscal year what we did last fiscal year as far as the veterinary assistance through the Animal Relief Fund. The next program that we do, which goes hand in hand with the Animal Service Center in Mesilla Valley and just recently Action Programs for Animals, is the Rough to Ready program. That is offered to dogs who are having difficulty adapting to their new home after being recently adopted. We pay for our clients to receive 2 complimentary trainings through our trainer, Hope Movsesian. The training can be done in-home. She can do them through Zoom, community settings, and the costs are covered by the Humane Society. The goal of the program is to ensure that the dogs and the owners have tools and resources needed so that the dogs aren't returned to the shelter for not being able to adapt in their new home. Last fiscal year, there was 32 dogs that went through the Rough to Ready program just from the Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley, and so far as of the month of November, there have been 18. We've had several calls just in this month, so that will definitely go up in January for the month of December. And I believe a few of them already have been from the Home from the Holidays adoption partnership that we just did with the Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley. We paid for the first 88 adoptions of this month, and that was all used by the 12th. We didn't even get 2 weeks into December before those were all done. So that is a wonderful thing, and we've received lots of positive feedback from the Rough to Ready program of how, from Hope to how helpful she was and them keeping the pets in their home instead of taking them back. Love that program. The last program that we have that is exclusively with the Animal Service Center of the Mesilla Valley is our Pets for Seniors program. We provide a $25 discount for residents ages 60 and up who adopt from the Animal Service Center. You all send us a monthly reporting on this program for reimbursement. And of course, the goal is to help seniors find companionship, but also to keep pets out of the shelter and into loving homes. Last fiscal year, 66 adoptions happened under the Pets for Seniors program, and so far as of November, 24 adoptions have happened through this program as well. Excuse me. How are we funded? The Animal Relief Fund, our biggest program, is funded through planned gifts and bequests. Recently, Nucinda Foundation has become a partner with us, a grantor. The Pets for the Elderly Foundation grant, as well as individual donors and private family foundations. The Pets for Seniors and Rough to Ready funded by docs and individual donors. Roughly, the Rough to Ready per pet is $156 per animal, and the Pets for Seniors is the $25 per adoption. Okay, and that's the last slide. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Sarah. This is really, really helpful, I think, to see another part of the really big network of folks that are trying to keep pets out of the shelter, addressing community needs, and giving us a place to donate also over the holidays, especially for folks thinking about seniors. And I love the idea of seniors plus pets.
Of course.
We really appreciate your presentation, and I don't know if there are any questions from the board Board Member Ellens? No? Okay. Sarah, thank you so much for presenting again, and thank you for all that you all do at DOCS and within our community. We look forward to the future for our ongoing partnerships. I hope that you have a great Christmas holiday season and a new year, and we'll see you then.
Oh, thank you. You too. Happy holidays to all of you. Thank you again for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Next up, sorry, I've left my agenda behind. I think next up is our city and county ACO reports. So I'll let you guys fight it out to who would like to present first. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Brian Halsey. I'm the caseworker for Donana County Animal Control, here to present the November County Animal Control. Our reported stray animals, we had 262 reported stray animals for the month of November. We had 206 stray animals picked up. The animals that were picked up for the month of November, we had 99 stray cats and 107 stray dogs. We had 3 sick or injured animals. We had 1 cat and 2 dogs. And for the month of November, we had 17 owner surrenders, and all of them were dogs. This is our reported stray animal calls for the 4-year comparison. And this is our 4-year return to owner comparison that we had. For November, we had 30. Our additional animals that we picked up, again, we had 17 dogs. We had no cats. We had 3 sick and injured. We had 4 welfare hold animals. Again, that's if that counts as something as if a sheriff unit or border patrol ends up getting someone and they're gonna take them into custody and they have dogs or cats in their vehicles. We go and pick them up and do a welfare hold. We had 1 shelter quarantine. We had 3 home quarantines. We had 1 court hold case for us for the county. We currently have 7 animals in our live evidence awaiting court, and then we had 0 rabies submissions for the month of November. So this is broken down for the month of November for how many cats and dogs. For District 1, we had 0 cats, 2 dogs. District 2, we had 44 cats and 21 dogs. That one was pretty high for November because we had people coming in to pick up traps for feral cats in that district, and that's why it was a little higher this month. District 3, we had 19 cats and 27 dogs. District 4, we had 24 cats and 17 dogs. District 5, we had 8 cats and 4 dogs. District 6, we had 3 cats and 14 dogs. And District 7, we had 1 cat and 22 dogs. This is just our month comparison for the stray cats. This is our monthly comparison for the stray dogs. And then our reasons for owner release through us. We had 11 animals where people were just unable to care for them anymore. That was pretty high for us in November. Usually we don't get that many for just they weren't able to take care of them. We had 3 that just had lifestyle changes that they couldn't keep the animals. We had 1 that was vicious or a livestock attack. We had 1 that was injured that was also involved in a cruelty case that we ended up picking up. And then we had 1 that was an aggressive animal. And then as requested by the board, we have our changes to our ordinances that you guys were wanting. So this is just a quick overview of the ordinances changes. We had 1 for general care and ownership responsibilities. It used to be under that 134-4 that was repealed. We added the ID and microchipping requirements. That way we could still cite people under that if they don't provide microchipping for their dogs. We had 134-6.1. That was for dogs killing or injuring livestock. We used to have to do that under the state statute, but since we're not certified law enforcement, that was a hard thing for us to go through. So now we have it in our ordinances, so it's easier and more streamlined for us to go through that. 134-7.4, abandonment prohibited. That was with the TNR program. Added to the ordinance to allow for a reduced number of animals euthanized at the Animal Service Center in Mesilla Valley by providing a strict guideline for trap, neuter, and return of cats, which are returned by the Animal Service Center in Mesilla Valley. And these were more for public safety and for protection of wildlife around the river, arroyos, things of that nature. The next one was dogfighting and cockfighting. We added it to our ordinance to allow more enforcement by our officers. The next one was nuisance prohibition, and that was for public safety. That was one we added for difficult areas that we had for officers that they would spend weeks and weeks going to the same house for the same dogs. This is allowance for us to have a little bit more public safety for that neighborhood to be able to pick up the dogs and go from there and go through the court system. The next one was another nuisance for barking or howling. We just streamlined that process and changed it to where it made it more easier for us to enforce it. The next one was dangerous or potentially dangerous dogs. That was just a stylistic change. Enforcement authority and process, same thing, just stylistic and minor changes. Reclamation, we added for public safety and to allow for a follow-up on Dangerous Dog Act for animals killing or injuring livestock and for the request of the owner. And then reclamation impoundment fees, that one again didn't have very many changes. And I stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? I have heard from folks, I think that you all might be hearing more at your next county commission meeting about in particular the river prohibition, and so how that affects the rate of TNR or not TNR that you all are facing. So, but I don't have any questions. Thank you, Brian, as always. Please.
I think, Madam Chair, and I think one of the discussions we had was around some of the issues with that, and I'm sure we can probably, I think I've already started getting a couple of emails, so the hope is, I guess, is people come up and ask the question. There is some thought behind why that was done, and I know that was part of the discussion we had with Mary Lou and the team was to understand why, that it wasn't just arbitrarily made, but hopefully we can work on the education and seeing if there's if there's something major that was missed, that can be brought to our attention. But yeah, we're definitely starting to get some discussion on that, hopefully.
Thank you, and thanks again, Brian. Oh wait, did you want? Sorry, go ahead, Mary Lou.
Yes, I would just like to add to that when we did go through and look at especially the TNR portion of this ordinance, trying to incorporate allowing TNR and reducing the number of animals going into the Animal Services Center that had to be euthanized, and in allowing and going in and providing public safety and constituent services to the community, incorporating all of those needs to the public. We tried to put all of those together and see what would work best, especially in county and rural areas that doesn't always work as it does in the city setting. So we tried to incorporate that, and areas like where you have the river, you have the bird sanctuaries, you have different types of things and settings like that for public safety and whatnot. Those were all taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. I anticipate that will mean a higher number of euthanizations at the shelter as a result of not being able to return the cats. Just so that we know when we see that in the data that will be one of the results. So, Thanks. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Good morning.
Here we go. For the record, my name is Gino Jimenez. I'm the Animal Control Supervisor for the City of Las Cruces, and I will present to you our November numbers for 2020. So we had a total of 530 reported strays. Of those, 277 were GOA, meaning the officer had no contact with that animal. We were able to apprehend 205. 224 of those were apprehended or impounded, I should say, at the Animal Service Center. 121 of them were dogs, 103 of them were cats. We were successful in field RTOing 29 animals, meaning that those animals never crossed the threshold of the Animal Service Center and were returned to their owners. 17, we had 17 unsuccessful attempts to return those animals out in the field. So that gave us a total of 46 identifiable animals. Here is our 3-year comparison. Again, we had 530 strays, bringing us to a grand total of 5297 for the year. And if you look at the yellow, we dip low, then come back up. But across the board, that number is consistent and stays low. Here is our 3-year field RTO. Again, comparison, we had 29 for the month, bringing us to a grand total of 457 for the year. We look at September, October, and November. Historically, they all do the same thing. Dip down, go up, and then come back down. And like Clint said in many meetings ago, this is due to the cold weather that we experience, so that number is always going to dip. Here is a graph for our community cat program. We were able to, we captured 73 animals, cats in traps. 10 of those were released in the area where they came from because they were already earmarked or ear-tipped and had all the requirements for a community cat. So we have a grand total of 529 that we were able to capture, and 98 of those were released. Reasons for owner releasing animals, we had 5 for aggression, 5 for the owner could no longer afford, 3 sick and injured. One of the injured, the owner could not afford to take it to the El Paso vet, which is, from what we were told, is the only emergency after our vet right now. 2 for dogs fighting each other, and the owner did no longer feel safe with them in the household. 1 for a bite, 1 for old age, a euthanasia request, and 1 cat for aggression towards the owner's son. The reasons we were unable to field RTO, 11, there was no contact by phone or at the residence, and 1 had a El Paso address. 2, the owner moved out of town, and the owner asked the brother to meet with animal control. However, after an hour wait, the officer could no longer wait anymore and went ahead and impounded those 2 dogs. 2, the owner moved to Germany and never updated that information. The only way we found out was through a phone call. 1 chip was not registered, and 1, the owner was unable to meet the ACO to take the dog. With that, I will stand for any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions from the board? No? Seeing none? Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
have a Merry Christmas.
Well, yeah,
Happy holidays.
have a great Christmas and holiday break. All right, next up, Clint, please. Thank you.
Gino just let me know that I won the ugly sweater contest. Sorry, it's the way it works. Good morning. My name is Clint Thacker, the Executive Director at the Animal Service Center in Mesilla Valley. Here to talk to you today about our November numbers. I would like to again thank Bernice Navarro for preparing this presentation for me. She is actually gone today and tomorrow on vacation, so she says she's getting back to me for the times that I have done it as well to her. But I appreciate all the hard work that she does. And I hope I don't need her today. All right, so 2022, the current, as of yesterday, population at the center was 428. As we look at November, it's the highest intake in the past 3 years. 786 animals came into the center. It's 462 cats, 462 dogs, 313 cats, and 11 others. I fear that we're just going to continue to see this trend continue to grow, and it may stabilize, but as you're going to see in the slides that are coming after this, of our euthanasia rates continue to be a little bit higher because we're keeping our population at a number that we can control and give good quality of care to. And you'll see that. So the returns are the animals that came back after adoptions. Dogs, there was 7 of them, several reasons there. And also for cats, there's only 2. These animals, of course, are always given the opportunities for what Doña County Humane Society presented on. We also have food resources that we can help them out with, so we always hit them up for those. I want to go back to that just for a second. We do not, whenever an animal is returned, we don't do shaming or anything like that because we always ask questions. Because whenever an animal leaves, even if it's for overnight, we get a lot of information from that individual about the dog and about the cat, and we can put that information on the dog's profile. Separation anxiety or likes to chew, any of those behavior issues. So it's very nice to have that information. The diverted intakes, 271. And for those that are watching the first time, a diverted intake is when the front counter talks to the individual, asks why they're here, what do you need? Do you want to keep your animal? If the answer is yes, then we say, what will it take? And we help them out with those reasons, whether it's with the behavior or if it's food, vet care. We've done vaccines for a person that can't afford vaccines. It's okay, we can help you out with that. We've sent them on to SNAP, all other reasons. And then also another one is if they come in to surrender their animal because they just don't want it, we always ask that you make contact with other places first before you come and use the center as the last resort. So they may stay out in the parking lot and make those phone calls and come back in and say, okay, I called, they're all full, then we take the animal. Or if they say, absolutely not, I don't have time for this, I'm just going to go dump it, we take the animal right then. So it's not a mandatory requirement that they make those calls, but it does help because 271 animals were diverted in those cases.
Madam Chair.
Board Member Ellens, please.
How many try elsewhere and then come back to see you, generally speaking?
So what you're asking is, if I understand, is how many come in and then come back and give us the animal?
Well, if you send them out to deal with other organizations, they come back and say they're all filled. You take the animal back. How frequently does this happen?
Well, I don't have an exact number from you, but I can tell you that owner surrender is the 3rd largest intake type that we have. And so being that 3rd largest, it's over 18% of our intake in November was, and you can see that in the next slide, I believe, was owner surrenders. So if you take that and then you look at 271 were diverted from that, you still see quite a few coming back in. So that's the best answer I can give you at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Ellens. I actually I don't know, I hadn't known of the home-to-home network too, which I don't know if it's new or if it's just gotten on my radar, but I'm wondering if you can talk about that or if you're going to talk about that later, but that's also something that I think is really interesting.
Yeah, that's one of our diverted intake methods is we tell them you need to post on home to home. And what this is a website where people can go and look for an animal that other people need to relocate. It's a great service, a great resource to use, not only for shelters, but also for somebody looking for a pet. So those are places too. Yeah.
I hadn't seen it before, so and I know that you guys even have a link to it and everything on your website, so thank you for that. Okay, thanks.
So this is the intake methods. As I said before, the highest percentage is strays come in by ACOs. Over half of our total November intake was that. Next was strays by the public, so people who found animals. And on those, we also asked them, would you be able to hold on to this animal? Can you go for a walk around your neighborhood? Can you anything to do to keep the animal out and try to find the owner? And for the most part, people are pretty reasonable about it. They say, yeah, I can go, let's go for a walk this afternoon, and if I don't find anything, then I'll come back. Anything to delay that animal coming into the center for an amount of time helps our population. So it's like a managed intake program is what it is. The next highest is owner surrender at 17%, and then things drop significantly with the seized, welfare hold, returns, and wildlife. So here's our outcomes. We had 18.6% were adoptions, 11% were reclaims, 20% rescued. Community cats was almost 19%. Euthanasia was at 32.6%. For our live release rate is 68%. And this is the lowest, as you can see, in the last 2 years for that. Our transfers continues to be a great success. We had a really good November of 159 animals that went to rescue. Special thank you to the big numbers there that you see, Crusaders, Animal Humane New Mexico, Halo, Herding Dog Rescues, the Big Mutt Network, anything, I'm really trying to see anything over 9 or 10 that really helped us out. And as always, a special thank you to the local ones. Action Program for Animals is a big one. With dogs and cats, they take more of the harder ones that are harder to move, the injured, the kittens, ringworm. So we appreciate how much they do for us, as always, as all of our local rescues do. So as you remember said, we talked about keeping our population to a level that we can sustain and have high quality of care for. So we are euthanizing for medical signs. As you see there, the respiratory signs for cats is the fixed one. That's a URI, or upper respiratory infection, is the main reason. And then the biggest reason for dogs is parvo. And a lot of those or most of them are coming from the public. We'll get a litter of puppies that come in, and the next day they blow with parvo. In other words, they show clinical signs of parvo. And we do our best to treat with fluids. As you know, parvo is one that's highly contagious, and it's hard to treat in an area that doesn't have the room, like we don't. So we do our best. We might have some out in fosters that we can work really well with, but other than that, we do have to euthanize those animals, those dogs that come in through parvo.
Madam Chair,
Board Member Ellens, please.
when the new center opens, you're going to use this building for medical purposes primarily. How will this affect your ability to treat parvo? Since you're going to be segregating these animals from the general population, which we sort of do now, but it's risky.
So the old center will be the medical facility for the ASCMV. Currently, how it stands right now, though, is it's still large kennels. And so having parvo in a large kennel is really bad because it's passed through the feces, or it's a really highly contagious virus. So you don't want to put animals with non-parvo animals in a kennel. So if we were to put animals in a kennel, by kennel I mean the large rooms that we have full of kennels. So that would just spread parvo throughout the entire large kennel. So the redesign of the center tackles that with individual treatment rooms that we put in. And so that's really what we want, is individual rooms that we could put animals that are under that highly contagious treatment that we can look for. So while, yes, it will be our medical facility, for the time being, it's still considered a large shelter that's not adequate for treating. animals correctly. And that's what the remodel would address, are those items. Does that answer your question?
So the fact that this is a medical building has minimal consequence?
I wouldn't say minimal. I mean, we would be able to house animals, like if you see the number one treatment or the number one reason for euthanasia is non-treatment for respiratory signs for cats. So this will give us more room that maybe we can hold on to those animals that have non-treatment to treat them. And same thing possibly with the parvo, that it's a non-treatment. There's the highest reason. Maybe it will give us some room where we can treat something like that. But with URI for cats and parvo for dogs, it's highly contagious and it's a hard one to treat.
What's your success ratio in treating and curing parvo?
When we actually have the room, like back in 2020, we had quite a bit of room where we could sanction off like kennels on each side and we could treat the parvo. It was fairly good. I mean, we had a high success rate. The thing with parvo is it has to take its course. So you pump fluids into the animal so they don't get dehydrated. That's usually how they die, is from dehydration, because they get severe diarrhea and they lose all their fluids. So that's the best way that we have to do it with what we have. But I would say that back then we were doing it was fairly good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, please go ahead.
Our surgery team continues to do amazing work. Trap neuter returns, they did 143 surgeries. Adoptions was 93. Shelter foster, 11 surgeries. And then other is 89. Other could be anything but the 3 you see there. So go in, if there's a complication, they can fix it. If there's an amputation, they can fix it. I mean, anything other than TNR adoption and shelter foster animals. But in the month of November, 336. The year to date, over 4,000 surgeries are occurring in that little room. So that is amazing. Our visitors kind of leveled out at 1,674 for November. Now this next one, I believe, is the Facebook one. Oh, this is by appointment. Okay. So we continue to have great success with animals by appointment. If you see this here, that 54% of the appointments made ended in adoption. It's still our best way to have people come in. Our highest, most effective way to do an adoption is by appointment. And it's pretty steady there in the 50s and 60s. The walk-ins continue to be an up-down adventure, and so people are just coming in and walking through. So we do the total number of groups, not individuals, because there might be a husband and wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or a family of 6 that come in. So we just do groups. 321 groups came in, and it ended up with 59 adoptions from that, so 18.4%. Our ASCMV volunteers continue to do amazing work. They gave us 645 hours. Most of these are from walk days that they do. They just come in and they walk all the available animals in the center. The cat care team comes and they help clean cats. So they just do amazing work, things that would never occur without our volunteers, and we appreciate them very much. Here's our webpage views, 36,339. Again, I say it every time, but just in case you're watching for the first time, webpage views is the views of the web pages, not original hits on the web page. So if you look at a dog, that's 1. You go back to the original page, says look at another dog, that's 2, and you click on another dog, that's 3. So 36,339. Here's the Facebook views. It shot up more than we've ever had, twice as much as it was in October. October, we were really excited. We felt like, if you remember, the firefighter calendar may have had something to do with that. But November, the only thing we can think of is that's when we did the dinner for the firefighter. We were doing a lot of posts for that calendar, and it got shared a lot. Also, we had announced our drive-through clinic, and so people could have been coming for more information from that. And then we had to cancel our drive-through clinic due to the high number of COVID cases at the center. where people were just out and we did not. It takes so much to do those clinics, and we were not able to have that. So we canceled it, and that's the only thing we can really think of with the 11,595 Facebook views. That's phenomenal. So we look to continue to, maybe we should do a firefighter calendar every single month. Actually, we did, right? Maybe we could post a picture that month for that. I still get comments on that calendar and how great it was. So we appreciate the IAF and all of their support for that. And that is my presentation. We have Penelope and Bernie that are here available for adoption. I do want to just highlight one fun program we have going right now, and that is, we call it Home for the Holidays. So you can come and get an animal from us and just do sleepover and then bring it back on the 26th. So this does several things for us. One, it gets an animal out of the center, so we're able to euthanize less animals for the animals that are coming in. And it gets the animal de-stressed, and we're able to find out a lot about that animal in those 4 days. Do they walk well on a leash? Do they like to chew? Are they a runner? Do they like to exercise with you? Or in cats' cases, do they just lay around and sleep, or are they active? So if you're interested in having many people are treating it like as an adoption period or an adoption tryout kind of thing, and that's perfectly fine. We talked about it, and we're like, if that's as we do it, because it's still serving the same purposes for the program. So we're excited for that program. Today is the day you need to come and get them, so if you want to move forward and try out a dog or a cat, you need to make contact with our foster coordinator, Vanessa, today. She's on the website and also on Facebook, or just call the center and say, I want more information on the holiday sleepover. So, any questions?
Any questions? Board Member Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Clint, and I know this is probably not the most important question, but what were the two others from dogs and cats that were on the on the shelter count?
Probably guinea pigs is what I'm going to say, because I don't have it right in front of me, but we got a lot of guinea pigs in November, and I think it's because they looked fun when first got them, and then they discovered how much work they are, and that they're nocturnal is another big one. So we get a lot of those. The another ones that we commonly get are chickens, and we also get hamsters a lot too.
Okay. That, just like you said, it's not very often we get in the other category, so I'm always curious as to what came in, and I think especially after we had that one snake that made its way through the center. Just curious, so thank you for that.
Yep.
Thank you. I find it a little, when I go to Petco and I see that they're selling guinea pigs, I feel a little like, I make a face, but, And if I see children looking at them, I'm like, there's a shelter. We have guinea pigs there at the shelter. I try to intervene.
Another one.
Like a crazy person.
Years ago, early 2000s, was sugar gliders.
Oh, wow.
And I was working at a center in Utah. We just got tons of sugar gliders, and people thought they were really neat, and they saw fun videos online, but they are so nocturnal, and they make funny noises, and they're so active at night that we were just getting them by 10, 15 a month. They were coming in. So, yeah, it's a fad. It's a thing that happens.
In high school, my high school job was working at PetSmart. And it was interesting because the corporate policy at the time for PetSmart was that they wouldn't sell any furry animals, or lizards. So it was like dogs and cats were all going to be working with local animal rescues and having adoptions, and they just sold birds and fish, and that was it. And the intent is exactly that: is that too often, kids come in, people come in, see the cute little furry animal and buy them, and then turn them in because they don't realize the amount of work. And it's just interesting because I know, obviously, in some point in the 25 years since I worked at PetSmart, that has changed. They went full circle. When you go to PetSmart, Petco, you'll find everything there now, including reptiles, small furry animals, et cetera. So I don't know what changed, but I thought it was interesting because I thought that was a good corporate policy to kind of minimize the amount of animals that can be brought in, that are purchased and end up, with into the shelters. But just wanted to share that. I thought it was interesting that corporate policy changed. But they were very specific when I was an employee there that they would not get involved in with the sale of those. We'd sell plenty of supplies for them, but not the actual animals themselves. So thank you for allowing me to share, Madam Chair.
I just want to be clear, we're not trying to rag on Petco and PetSmart. They support us, especially the local ones here. Amazing, $50,000 we got from Petco and a grant. Then PetSmart they've given us thousands and thousands of dollars. So I understand, and I agree with you that was the policy then and that it was a good policy. So yeah, they still support us really well.
Yeah. Board Member Ward, did you have a question?
Yeah, Clint, can you go back to the percentages slide?
Which one, intake or outcome?
I think it's right, that one right there. When you go into the seized welfare hold, is that by quarantines?
I would probably say no, because seized animals and welfare holds are two very distinct categories.
Okay. All right, that was just a question I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Clint.
Thank you.
All right, next up, committee reports, and we'll have to make a note. Eric, Assistant City Manager Enriquez has retired, so we will make a note and figure out how that fits into our JPA and who will follow up on that from now on. But I think there is a presentation, so good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Josh Saffel, and on behalf of the Finance Department of the City of Las Cruces, I would like to present the unaudited financials as of November 30th, 2022. Our first page here is the statement of net position. For the general fund, we see cash of $875,405 and receivables of $132,818, which gave us total assets of $1,008,223. We had liabilities of $114,563 and revenue collected in advance of $249,280. So this left us an unassigned fund balance in the general fund of $644,380. Moving on to our change in net position, we see total revenues for the period are $628, and total expenditures for the period are $1,498,172. Then after a transfer out of $8,750, we see a net change to the fund balance of $342,706. Looking at our budget to actual for the change in net position, the total revenues of $1.8 million are at 44.6%, and the total expenditures of $1.5 million are at 34.9%. I want to point out, I do apologize. I just was reviewing this morning after it had already been uploaded, and that budget parameter number should be 41.7%, not 33.3. I apologize for not having caught that sooner. So looking at revenues and expenditures per month, we see that this month the expenditures were slightly more than the revenues. And so that would explain that there was a slight drop in our fund balance for this month. Looking at our total expenditures, again, the amount of expenditures were $1,498,172. Of that amount, 54% was salaries, 19% was benefits, 16% was in services, 5% was in supplies, 3% insurance, and then 1% in other, 1% in temporary services, and then 0.9% in capital and 0.5% in repairs and maintenance.
Madam Chair,
Board Member Ellens.
Refresh my recollection, what does services include?
Services includes, again, things such as things that are provided to the center, again, that would not be like a supply or anything else. So services would be such as telephone services, things of that nature, even the administrative fee charged to the service by the city. All of those things go into that. If you want a more detailed breakdown, I can provide it next time if you would like.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I
Thank
won't be here.
Thank you, Josh.
And so that will conclude my presentation. If there are any questions, I stand for that.
Any other questions? No? Hearing none? Thank you. Happy holidays. Next up, the Executive Committee. We met on December 6th, I believe, Clint and I, for the Executive Committee meeting. We talked about including the two resolutions you're about to hear about, the plans for preparing sort of budget-related things for the upcoming year. I think sort of making a plan for how Clint and the team are planning for those things and how we're going to present them, and making sure that those are on track for presentation early in the new year. And we also talked briefly about the holiday party, which I think you all received a note about. So I think that's it. Any other things that I'm missing, Clint? All right. That's it for the Executive Committee. For Facilities, Mayor Pro Tem.
I was super sick during that week, like for 14, 15 days, so we didn't meet. But we did get a presentation. When I say we, City Council, they presented on the GeoBond status for each of the projects and gave an update. And so if I recall, things are moving along and still having issues with the kennels and whatever, but I think they're pretty close to, I thought, 90-something% complete. And so I'll look to Clint to give any updates.
Thank you very much. So there was an article that went out in the bulletin stating that we're going to be open to the public on the 27th. So we have contacted the bulletin. They will be making a correction. That actually came from an interview I did in October, and I told them the completion date was the 27th, which at the time it was. It wasn't until, I think it was late November, early December, where the contractor moved the substantial completion date to the 31st of December. How it got confused that it's going to be open to the public on the day we get it, I'm not sure. But anyways, we appreciate all the bulletin does for us. It was just a mix-up of information. So we are not open on the 27th to the public, nor will be open on the 31st to the public. It's a reminder that this is a city building, so the city will be scheduling and handling the ribbon cutting, the grand opening times. So it's still planned that we'll get the building on the 31st. So on Monday, they were finally, after a lot of bugging, were able to get the gas meter installed. That made it so they were able to turn the heat on and start doing the tests and balances. So now when you go in there, it's nice and toasty, and we got everything completed on that. And then yesterday, they had the fire marshal come in and do the inspection, which they passed with no issues. And so we're excited for that. We're just one good step after another. Now, with the holiday, with Christmas holiday coming up, there's a lot of people that are gone on vacation, so their test and balance people are, and that's testing and balancing the airflow, so you don't want negative pressure, all that, that they do. So they can't come in until the 28th of December, as soon as they can get a tech out there. So they'll be out on the 28th to complete that process. Once they're in and gone, then we can install furniture. The furniture is in El Paso. It's waiting for the go-ahead. And if I remember correctly, we are going to have it delivered into the garage of the Sallyport area. So when the test and balance is done, then we can install it. The reason why we don't want to do it now is test and balance requires a lot of ladders and room that need to make to access the airflow. So we don't want them walking on countertops or tabletops, using chairs, things like that. And that was per the contractor's advice to do that. So that's why it's going to be a little bit delayed. But they're saying 95 completed. Yesterday, we walked through and did the final punch list or checklist of the interior. And on Wednesday, the 28th, we're going to be doing the exterior punch list. The building is beautiful. We already have people coming up to it and knocking on windows, you know, needing something from their animals. So people are excited for it to be open as well, and we're looking forward to it. We are actually having we got special permission from the contractor to have our end-of-year party for the employees in the new building. So this will be the first time for some of them to see the center, see where they're going to be working, the processes, the new things that are in there, and it's just a great opportunity for them to be there. So we're excited for it. I do want to make a note on financials. You'll continue to see that financial going up as we are making some major purchases for the new center. I know we have at least $31,000 in computers. That was just done. I approved the request earlier this week. And then we have phones that I also approved of, and I think that's around $5,000. And just large items. We have vet tables we need to purchase, exam tables, we have shelving, all these things that we've been on hold for, we're now making purchases for, so you might see that increase. We're going to take Assistant City Manager Enriquez, former, retired after that, his word that the city would be able to help us out when we look at that and when we start making the purchases and we look at our trend and everything for meeting budget, that the city will be able to help us out and possibly something from the county as well. But I expect that we will need some help because of the funds that we're expending for that. How much that is at this point, I don't know, but we are keeping that in mind. We're trying to be as thrift as we can, but we don't want to put subpar items in the center. You know, a stainless steel exam table is $1,100, and we're going to need 3 of them. So it's that kind of stuff that we're looking at that isn't cheap that we want to last. So, but that's all I have for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Board Member Ellens.
we've always had a problem getting cat cages. Is that still a problem?
Cat cages or cat traps or?
No, the cages. I thought we were always behind in installation because the manufacturer couldn't deliver.
Yes, and so I'm sorry, that's one thing I forgot to mention. So while we're going to be getting the center on the 31st, and there might be a ribbon cutting in January, the puppy cages that are in the dog pods are not available. The dog kennels in all the dog pods are expected in March, or back ordered until March, and then the cat towers that are inside the main building, they will not be available until March as well.
So you've really answered the question that I was going to follow up with, is when will the animals be moved?
Well, we can still do quite a bit with cats. We have, if you remember the design of the center, the middle of the building is where the cat towers go. But we have along both sides of the center are the cat rooms. So it's a possibility that we could put cats in those areas. And we can also do adoptions out. But then you start thinking, well, are we going to send people up to walk through a parking lot, you know, all the way up to the old center to walk through the dogs that are available? Do we just keep operations there at the old center and wait for those items to come? We might be doing animal intake from the animal control officers through the Sally Port and then move the animals back up to the old one. So there's a lot of ifs and things that we need to talk about with the managers and make that decision.
Well, you said some of the cages, I think puppy cages, wouldn't be available until March.
Correct.
So you wouldn't see any transport until then.
Transport?
Well, transport of the animals from one building to the other.
Yeah, we would have to wait until the puppy cages come in to put them into the new center. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, moving on to the action items for today, Resolution 2022-10, reasonable notice for the meetings for 2023. Per our JPA, we must communicate this at the beginning of the year and set up our planned meeting times for the following year. So hopefully you've had a chance to look over those. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? And I would note, this is with our existing JPA. I do think that the JPA conversations are ongoing, so that may be something that shifts slightly in the future, but for the moment, hearing no further discussion, I would ask Becky if you could call the vote, please.
Board Member Ellens?
Yes.
Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Chair Coran?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up is Resolution 2022-11, adoption of the holiday closure schedule. That's also in your packet, so I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Ellens and seconded by Board Member Sanchez. Any discussion? Hearing none. Becky, please.
Board Member Ellens?
Yes.
Board Member Gandara?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Chair Coran?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is public input. I will start as we do on the left and go back if they're, Tina? No? Okay. So I'll start over here. Looking for public input. Any public input on the right? Seeing none, last call for anyone who wants to speak. Okay, hearing none. Next up are the chair and board comments. I will start, actually. I would just like to thank you all for your efforts this year, ACOs, ASCMV staff, and leadership. I know it's been a really difficult year, and I hope that my colleagues will read through the note about the holiday party and consider that. Thank you for the presentations today. I appreciate this time. And then I just want to have one brief moment. I'm going to take a little chair's privilege to thank Board Member Ellens. We know that you're off, and we got you a little something to appreciate all that you've done for the board and really specifically for the animals in the county. I know that you ask questions that make us all think, and you have helped move a number of animal-related causes through the years. And so we just want to share this with you and give you our gratitude for the time that you've spent here with us. So it's a very germane gift, I think. So thank you. We really appreciate you. It's a Chihuahua for you to drink.
It's usually a plaque, but this is much more satisfying.
Considerably more practical, I think. I debated giving you a real Chihuahua, which would also fit in that bag, but I think...
I just want to say that it's been my great pleasure to have been on this board for 4 years. I consider it one of the most important, no, actually the most important board aside from the commission that I sit on. And by my count, I have missed only one meeting, and that was last month because of a doctor's appointment. But I'll be moving to Colorado next year to be with my family, and I have to find something to do. and I will probably look for something that's animal-related to do, because I've really gotten immersed in the culture and the needs that the community has, but more important, the needs that the animals have. And I want to thank everybody on this board. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and you too. So I'm out of here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate you. And I hope that you do find some exciting volunteer opportunities or advocacy opportunities in Colorado in your
Well, my
next
son
chapter.
is very active in big dog
Okay,
placement, so I'm sure he'll steer me somewhere.
that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any further comments from the board? Please, Board Member Gandara.
Thank you, Chair Karan. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Ellens, for your service here on the board, but also for the county. It's much appreciated. I always appreciate you and your comments. And I'd like to thank Clint and staff for their work, to include our ACOs and all that you do with such just a difficult thing to be doing, especially now. We've seen increases and different kinds of things due to the pandemic, and it's hard, I'm sure, especially to have the direct service. So I just want to say I thank you and thank the board for all that you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Gandara. Please, Board Member Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Commissioner Ellens, I know we said goodbye on our last county commission meeting, but I know this will be our last meeting together. And so I want to say, again, thank you for allowing me to observe, watch for these past, for me, it's been, almost 4 years. But with you chairing, with you, I think has been brought up, the points of view you bring to each meeting it's appreciated, because it definitely can bring up different areas or a point of view that I may not have considered, so I appreciate it. And so I wish you the best of luck in Colorado. And I know that Clint, I think we send some animals up to Colorado, so perhaps that might be another avenue to participate in. And both to the city, Gino, and to our county staff, our ACOs, thank you for everything that you do. I know it's been kind of a productive year with the update of our animal ordinances. There's been a lot going on, and so we thank you every year. I know you guys have been stressed with and stretched everything trying to serve the public, and so as a elected official, thank you for all that you do for the communities here in Las Cruces as well as Doña Ana County. And to Clint, to your staff, thank you. And it's much appreciated. I know we had a conversation about the numbers you're seeing at the Animal Service Center. I mean, they've been huge numbers. It's been a trying time. I know it's not easy to have the euthanasia rates as they are, but your staff perseveres, tries to find ways to save as many animals you can, working with the rescues and all the community members to try to find a way to save every animal. So thank you for all that you do. And Josh, for you and the rest of the financial staff, I think you guys do an amazing job each and every month, each and every year, trying to keep up with everything. And so thank you all for all the efforts to make sure the Animal Service Center and the board have all the information we need to be educated at every meeting. So thank you all again, and to my board members, Merry Christmas, or to everybody, Merry Christmas and have a happy holiday.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the board? Hearing none, thank you. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Becky, please.
Board Member Ellens,
Yes.
Board Member Gondara?
Yes.
Board Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Chair Corral?
Yes.
Thank you. We are
Thank-
adjourned.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
To you.